Now, the latest installment of the Zondo Commission report on state capture, released this past Friday, has been called by some the most scathing yet of the Jacob Zuma presidency. But it did not leave out those in leadership of government and the ruling party who allegedly failed to act against blatant acts of state capture. News 24 columnist McKinley narrowed his observations further today, asking in his own words who will lead in driving internal efforts to deal with the likes of Zuma if half of the national office bearers of the party are cited in the Zondo report. We're joined now by independent political analyst and researcher Dr. McKinley, who will, of course, give us his insights into the ruling party headache that it is faced with now. Dr. McKinley, good evening, and thank you very much for your time and joining us tonight on In Focus. The state capture report is out. The expectation is that the ANC will now need to act, in fact, to act on the ANC, essentially, is what needs to be happening here, from within President Ramaphosa's cabinet to within the party's NEC. From your own assessment, is the ANC really going to go through with the process of likely dealing with a great majority of its leadership?
Well, I think it's going to be a very testing situation for the ANC, obviously, and if anything, if the history is anything to go by of how they've dealt with previous individuals who've broken the law or who've been charged with breaking the law, I think it'll be a very mixed bag. What I would suspect is going to happen is that they'll first go for the low-hanging fruit, so to speak. In other words, the potentially easy cases, the ones that don't have a great deal of political capital to pay, that are not going to come back and bite them. So, the district officials, some of the low-lying sort of provincial officials, let's say, for example, in the Free State asbestosis debacle that the fourth report deals with in the Zondo Commission, these kinds of things I think they'll probably go for first. And then try as best as possible to get the NPA to do their due diligence and to make the cases for the more high profile ones, and string those out, so that I doubt that anything is going to happen before the ANC Congress in court and anybody's going to be brought. And so after that, politically it would be more palatable possibly once assuming that Ramaphosa wins and his slate still has control of the ANC and he's still president, then he'll be in a much stronger position potentially to then go after some of the higher profile cases. But I think it's going to be a long, long time before we see any really senior ANC politicians end up behind bars, if at all.
How painful is this going to be for the political party itself as an organization?
Sorry, I didn't quite catch
I'm saying,
the
how
question.
painful is this process going to be for the organization itself?
To be a very good one, but I'm hoping you can hear me. I think it's going to be, the what's come out of this fourth report, and the entirety of the Zondo Commission, is that this is not about individuals. This is not about a few bad apples in the ANC doing a few bad things. This is about an entire political party that is implicated in state capture, including those that have yet to be charged or those that are sort of hiding in the corner. So we all remind ourselves of that very famous comment about the small Anyana skeletons in the closet that all ANC politicians have. And I think this is really where the crux of the matter lies, is that President Ramaphosa and many of the others on the one side, and ex-President Zuma and the Guptas and the others on the other side in these factional battles, have a lot of dirt on each other. And they probably have a lot of things that they can throw at each other. And so they're going to be very, very careful. And what we've seen is that the ANC prizes, above all else, position and power. They don't really prize accountability. That's very clear. And doing the right thing where it needs to be done. So I think this is what we're going to see playing itself out. It's going to be quite painful for them to have to face up to these realities. But they're going to probably do all in their power to sort of obfuscate the situation and to push it further down the road so they don't have to deal with what would be even more painful, which is to actually hold some of themselves to account.
Will this pain extend to the national elections, which are at hand?
Yeah, listen, I mean, the ANC's, shot itself so many times in the foot with the public. I mean, we saw this in the local government elections, the lowest voter turnout ever, the lowest percentage voting for the ruling party, that it needs to do something besides, obviously, rhetoric and besides more promises of action. People want to see something. So if I was in the ANC and I was a politician, I would say we need to have some cases see, at least start, and we need to see some action taking place on the prosecutorial realm in order for there to be, should we say, some political capital made out of that and people to feel, well, okay, the ANC is beginning to do something. Ramaphosa is beginning to act on his promises. If there's nothing before the elections, if there's actually stasis and static, then I think the ANC is going to even pay a higher price because South Africans are not, they're paying attention. And the one thing they pay attention to, I think even more so now, is the realization that the ruling party, they've had enough of the promises, they've had enough of the rhetoric, and they want to see action. And if there's nothing on this Zonda report, then people will chalk it up as another failure, and the ANC will pay a heavy political price for it.
How important is this statement, innocent until proven guilty, going to be, especially for those leaders who are implicated in this report, who will want to hold on to their position, as you put it, position of power, very important to these individuals?
Well, I think that statement more applies in court. Once you're in court, the evidence is presented against you, and you can't make a pronunciation on someone's guilt until that is done. But with the ANC, it's a different story. Basically, what they've done is they've passed a step-aside resolution that says if someone is charged, then they should step aside. And if they're going to be consistent with that, and we've seen in the Gumede case and others where people have begun to step aside, let's see when push comes to shove, when it's about positions in government and it's about who's going to take control, if that's going to hold. That will be the litmus test for the ANC. If they can stick to this step-aside resolution and make it stick for those, whoever it is and whatever faction they belong to, then I think people will sort of see and take that seriously. If they play with it and they don't really take it seriously, once again, they're going to pay more political price, and we can see this already happening in KZN.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I want to ask Des. I mean, what's the price that's going to be paid by ordinary South Africans who are not in the party, this as the party is literally going to be tearing each other apart over this report? Is South Africa, or must South Africa at least brace itself for more torment, more things that will go wrong, more chaos at ESCOM, more chaos in our SOEs and things just not progressing, especially in our economy?
Well, I'm an eternal optimist in that sense, a realist, but an optimist. And I would say that in some ways we hope, obviously, that that's not the case. I think what we're going to see realistically is we're going to see more troubled waters. I don't think it's going to be at this, hopefully not at the scale that we've seen previously with regards to the kind of damage done to the state enterprises. But I think there is a very powerful, very well organized section of the ruling party that doesn't want to be held accountable and is afraid of going to jail, whether that's right from the ex-president all the way down. And they're going to do a lot of things in order to try to prevent that. So I think we're going to see more, should we say, sabotaging of particular kinds of attempts to try to address these things. I think we're going to see more stirring of the pot, whether that's in terms of xenophobic violence, whether that's in terms of ethnic politics, whether that's in terms of regional politics, and sort of you see already in KZN these very sort of ethnic strong groups that are saying, let's break away, let's secede, let's get back to who we are as KZN, and the rest of South Africa can have. We've seen that in the Western Cape as well on a different plane. So I think it's not going to be smooth sailing. But my sense is that if those in the ANC now who are saying that they want to deal with these take the public into their confidence and begin to start actually doing some activity, people will begin to get on their side, because we all want to see progress. We all want to see peace. We all want to see service delivery. We want to see our country improve. And so this is a time. If the ANC fails this test, well, I'm not so sure. History will not only judge them harshly, but I think the next elections will even judge them harsher.
Yeah. Talking of ANC failing the test, will ANC fail the test of renewal if they fail to deal with the outcomes of the Zondo Commission. I mean, they would like to say the Zondo Commission is not the ANC on trial, but essentially what's coming out, it is the ANC that was being put on trial. It's not a trial, it was a commission, but certainly what's coming out of there requires the ANC to go on trial.
Yes, I would completely agree with that. And it's not just the Zondo, but what the Zondo Commission has done, it's encapsulated almost 15 or 20 years of this kind of behavior by the ruling party. Its focus has been on a particular period and a particular family, in that case the Guptas, but it's much broader than that. And South Africans are beginning to connect these dots all the way back. You know, it's not just about an individual, an ex-president. It's not just about one faction, but about a ruling party. If the ANC does not grasp the nettle now, they have taken the public for granted for too long. They have rested on their laurels for too long. And they have become very arrogant in power, I think. And some people within the ANC realize this, but I think it's unfortunately a minority. The question is, can that minority and can those that are still good people and still have the interest of our country at heart, can they begin to turn that big ship around of the ANC? I think it's how should we say, it's a toss-up on that front. I wouldn't want to prognosticate, but I would say this. If they don't try seriously, the ANC will be consigned to the rubbish bin of history fairly soon.
Is President Cyril Ramaphosa the man to do it?
Well, I think he is the man of the moment, should we say. He is certainly in the power. He's in the position. It looks as though he probably will get a second term unless something extraordinary happens. So he's there. He has an opportunity, and it's his to fail or to succeed, or at least to push it in a more positive direction. So yes, for now he is, but he might not be for too long.
I appreciate your time, Dr. Dale McKinley. Thanks for coming on, political analyst and researcher. Giving us his insight into the matter, what the ANC will do next following, of course, the State Capture Commission report.